welcome back to Adornment with Adrienne. Hi, I'm Adrienne. I'm your girlfriend or your auntie of lifestyle and decor, and today we're going to be making a copycat recipe of one of Martha Stewart's pound cakes. If you're interested, please keep watching, and welcome to our weekend sweet treat series. Welcome to Adornment with Adrienne. Okay, so today our recipe calls for butter, flour, sugar, heavy cream. All right, and our flour is actually cake flour if you have it. It also calls for an almond extract, which I don't use. I usually substitute lemon for it. And it calls for like a half or cup of sugar, but I actually usually put more in because I found that people really like it to be a little bit sweeter. All right, this is not an old-fashioned pound cake. We will be doing that in this series. But this is a pound cake that you could take to a party, for any type of people, any race of people for this cake. And that's why it's Martha Stewart. We love her. Tried and true recipe. I actually made this recipe for many times for one of my neighbors, for his co-workers or something. I used to make this at Christmas time for him, and that people loved it. And it has a beautiful crust. If you cook it right, it will crust up, have a crunchy crust on the outside, and be just light and airy in the middle. So anyway, if you're interested, please keep watching. If you had an easy bake oven like me, I used to have an easy bake oven. Kind of tells my age, but I had an easy bake oven and I used to love that thing. If you had one, please let me know and keep watching. Thank you. Welcome to Adornment with Adrienne. Okay, so now that I've removed my jewelry and put on my apron, and you know, I know it seems like, oh, she's all dressed up, what is she doing? But I used to be a dirt diver. My daddy used to say, you won't ever have any fingernails, which is kind of true, because you're always in the dirt. Anyway, so I have my apron on and I'm ready. Let's get our ingredients. We have our butter already that has been sitting out and softening. I have 2 sticks of unsalted butter, okay? But it's sweet, but it's unsalted. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so now it's time to begin. I actually have an angel food cake pan that I like to use for pound cakes. I've greased it with Crisco, and the recipe does call for butter and flour, but I use Crisco because I really don't want my cake to stick. If you remember that movie, The Help, and Minnie said, if you want any of this and you want that, you want your husband's feet to be soft, you want this or that, Crisco. So that's what I use this time. I don't normally use it. I added a little flour. I'm going to flour the pan really quickly. Let's see. So I am using a little flour to coat my pan. All right, I'm turning. Don't turn it too far. It might fall out like it just did for me. Anyway, turning. All right, that's it. It's gonna be beautiful. It's a lovely cake. All right, it's time to scrape the sides together. Scrape down on the sides. I'll be right back. So I am going to scrape down the sides a little bit of my bowl with the butter. You want to make sure you get it all incorporated here. Okay, so now that I have my butter and my sugar cream together, I am going to break my eggs. I have 6 eggs. All right, I have one that's already in here into a separate bowl. I had my sugar in this just to make sure I don't have any eggshells. All right, that's 1, that's 2. Eggs are expensive. What is going on? I saw a report that was saying that eggs are going to be like $12 by the fall. I'm like, no way, man. For a dozen, $12. But the eggs that I bought today were over $3, and they normally are like $1.89 or $2. And it was 18, of course, but they are going up, man. They say something is going on with the bird flu or something like that. All right, so I have all my eggs cracked. Here's my 6 eggs, as you can see, and I'm going to incorporate them one at a time into my butter and sugar mixture. Okay, so I'm going to kind of scrape down in my bowl a little bit. I incorporated my eggs, and I want to kind of scrape to make sure I get all of the sugar off the sides. All right, to be incorporated with the eggs. All right, and then we're going to add our vanillas and our secret ingredient. Okay, so now that we have our butter and our eggs and sugar cream together, it's time to add our heavy cream. All right, so I have a cup of heavy cream I'm going to add in. So now it's time to add in our extracts. So I have a vanilla, 1 teaspoon. I need, let's see, that's her. I need a half a teaspoon of lemon extract, and actually I'm just going to use half a teaspoon, but I'm going to use a teaspoon because I like lemon. That's up to you, okay? Because I'm not going to use almond extract, which this calls for. And we also need, and I have a secret ingredient that I'm not going to show you guys. Be right back. Okay, so now that I've added in all of my extracts, I'm just kind of turning my mixer here to make sure we incorporate it all. You can see it looks really, really liquidy, but that's because of the heavy cream in the eggs. Okay, it's time for our flour. Okay, so now it's time to add in our cake flour. I have 3 cups of that. I'm going to add, I already measured it out in another bowl, and I'm just going to add it and then mix it a little bit at a time. 1 cup at a time, and mix. Okay, so I've added in our 3 cups of cake flour and all of our extracts, and I'm going to try to incorporate this, and it'll be time to put our cake in the oven. Yay! Okay, so now that our cake batter is mixed together, everything is ready, I would suggest you go in and maybe just take a taste. And see how you like it. You may want to add some more sugar. Like I said, I added about a half a cup of sugar more. I actually added in another half teaspoon of vanilla and lemon extract because I like my cake to be flavorful. Okay, so I'm going to transfer my batter into my large mixing cup I have here. It's actually a mixing bowl. I love this thing, and I'm going to use this in that way I can pour my batter into my pan. So now I'm going to pour my batter. It's actually pretty heavy, so be careful. I'm going to pour it into my large mixing cup. That way I can pour it into my pan easily. So now that I've emptied out my bowl and I put my batter into my large mixing bowl, I am going to put it in my pan. Okay, so I have my prepared pan and I have my batter mixture. I'm going to put it in. Now the thing about this will bake for an hour and 45 minutes on 300. Okay, an hour and 45 minutes. You maybe should check it at an hour and 25 minutes depending on how hot your oven is. I'm using this large mixing, it looks like a measuring cup, but it's so much easier, as you can see, just to pour all the batter. It's actually, you should taste it. It is so delicious. Okay, so in it goes. I'm gonna make sure we get every little bit out of the pan, out of the cup. All right. If you have someone that licks the spoon, it's that time. Okay, so I've poured my batter in my pan. It's already pre-floured and greased. You could buttered, and I am going to just kind of shake it around so I can evenly distribute the batter. And now I am going to actually put my cake on a baking sheet in the oven, and I do that because sometimes, especially with these angel food pans, you might have some batter that might leak out, or even if you're not, I would suggest maybe putting a baking sheet under the rack under the cake just in case any spills over. You don't want that spill in your oven. Okay, let's do that. So good. I have my large baking sheet that I use for cookies and things like that, and I am going to go ahead and transfer my pan on top of the sheet here. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, my cake is done, and I am going to leave it for 15 minutes. You see, I have it elevated off of the counter while it cools for 15 minutes. Now, to make our maple glaze, I am adding in 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Okay, so I've melted my butter and I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of my pumpkin spice syrup. You will be using maple. Here, bubbling. As you can see, I'm incorporating my butter and my syrup together. This is a pan that I can actually use a whisk in. If you're using Teflon, please be careful. So it's time to add in our 1 cup of confectioner's sugar. Get it all out there. And we're going to whisk it together to make our glaze. Okay, you can see how our glaze has come together. It's thickening up nicely. I may add a little bit of pumpkin spice since I used a pumpkin spice syrup. But if you're using the maple glaze, you don't need to do that. Okay? Okay, so I'm taking a knife, a serrated knife, and I'm poking holes in my cake, just small holes, for my maple glaze. Okay, and I'm going to pour it on. Okay, so now I'm going to pour my glaze over my cake. This glaze really thickened up quickly, I would say. So that's our finished cake. Thank you as always for joining me with Adornment with Adrienne. If you do make this cake recipe, please let me know in the comments. As always, instead of saying goodbye, I say saving hello for another time. See you in the next video.